どうも。もう
Hi
いではいい
again.
んじゃないか。
Maybe you're fed
感
up
じかも
with
しれないですけ
me,
ど、改めましてこ
but
んにち
once
は。
again,
ワコムそしてコネクティッドインクビレッジの井でございます。よ
I
ろしくお願い
am
します。
Ide from Wacom and Connected Ink Village.
このセッションをですね、
Thank you.
去年も熱いトークバトルが繰り広げら
We
れ
had
た
a very
Z 会さん、Z 会の
enthusiastic
藤井さんとのセッションですけども、
discussion with Fuji-san of
いいでしょうか。
Zetkai last year.
早
And
速お
we're
呼びしたい
holding
と
this
思います
session
けど
once
も、
again.
それ
Let
では
me
藤井さん
invite
お願いしま
Fuji-san
す。
onto the stage.
どうも藤井さん。
Fuji-san,
こんにちは。
こ
hello.
れでありがとうございます。
いやいや、こちらこそ。
藤井さん、
ありがとうございます。
お帰りなさい。
Welcome back.
ただいま。
もう去
Thank
年
you.
の
I am
藤井さん
back.
とのセッションがもうバズってバズって。
This session with you
海外からも
was
熱いセ
created
ッ
a
ション
big
何なんだみ
buzz.
たいな。
There was a lot of interest from our international audience last year. So once again, we're having this session again this year. I'm so happy to have had this invitation to be back again. Thank you. Please take your
い
seat.
やー、本当僕もこれちょっと楽しみにしてたんです
I
け
was
ども。
also looking very much forward to
藤井さん
today.
ちょっとご覧いただく時間があったかどうかわからないんですけど、
I don't know if you
今も
had
ですね、
time
かすかに流れてるんですけども、
to look around,
実は今
but
年コネクティッドインクですね。
Connected
創造
Ink
的根幹っていう
2021,
テーマは変わらないんですけ
Creative
ど、
Chaos is still the
っていう
theme,
やつをですね、
but we're looking into outer
あそこ
space.
にこういる
Do you see that over there?
てるチーム、あそこが
There's
で
a
すね、
team that's operating the mixer.
粒子、ミューオンを捉え
They
て
are capturing and detecting muons from outer space, and they're also taking in solar winds, and
なんか
they're working on it. I love that theme.
実はご存知の方もいらっしゃる。
Some of you might know this, but I'm fond of outer space, and I was in the astronomy club in high school. And we have a service that is called Asteria, which is an English class, and Priadis is also another type of service, which both of which are named after outer space from cosmos. So you must be a great fan of outer space. So I was, oh my God, this is a great theme for me. On the part of Zetkai, you have a lot of aspects that are connected to outer space. Well, yes, that is exactly right. We created a brand new movie, which is brand new. Roundro, which is an illustrator who will be creating a new movie for the first time, directing for the first time, and we collaborated with him. I hope you can show it. Show the video clip, please.
星ってたくさんあるはずなのに見つけるのは難しいんだ。いっぱいあるから難しいんだよ。すぐに見失っちゃうから。こんな時間の先でさ、私たちもいつか輝くのかな。多分もう光り始めてる。みんなそうなんだ。目には見えなくても。
ありがとうございます。ラウンドロー先生の作品。
That was awesome.
もう
That was a piece from Landro. That's so cool. Thank you very much for that. Last year, we were under COVID, and there were many people who were taking entrance exams. Many people went through a lot of hardships, and studying every day is one thing, but have to pass an exam is another. And we wanted to encourage everyone who start, working, going through hardships and studying and passing exams. That was a very impressive clip. Yes, it's a movie that's encouraging, that is standing by the side of people who are really working hard. So it sounds like you are entering into the sphere of Wacom. Well, yes, I was surprised by the theme of outer space, but also Landro has a message for Wacom and for those of you who are here with us. It's a special clip.
Congratulations for hosting Connected Ink. Nice to meet you. My name is Landro. I got to work with ZKai with my work Summer Goss, which I directed for the first time, which gave me this opportunity to give this comment here. Wacom is making a device which I have been using from the time when I started doing this. It is something indispensable for me to express myself. I would like to enjoy watching a lot of works to get inspired to create something. Once again, thank you very much indeed.
Fuji-san. Oh my God, you did it. This was a special message from Landro. It was a very special message for Wacom. Oh, this is so rare. This is so special. Thank you so much. I just earlier said that you're coming closer to Wacom, but it seems like you're just a part of us. Yes, I sensed it last year. The direction that you're heading for and what we emphasize is so close. We're so aligned. Handwritten drawing is so very important, and going through that trial and error and the whole process is very important in unleashing our creativities. That's something that is very important for us. So I think there's a lot that overlap between you and me. Yes, I think we've talked about this last year. It's not a question of whether you're right or wrong. The whole process of trial and error is very, very important. I completely agree with you on that. Fuji-san, the comment, the message from Landro, I think that was really, really wonderful. But I think you are also beginning to engage in educational service related to outer space. Yes, indeed. Please take a look at this. It's called the Discovery Method. It's based on training programs for astronauts. It is a training tool to train our recognition capabilities. So it's discovery method, as we call it. Global warming is one thing, and globalization is another thing. That we don't exactly know how things will develop going forward, but we're at a time when our children have to survive and thrive. So who could become a role model for such young generations? And we thought that astronauts are wonderful role models. They are in outer space, and no matter what challenges that they may face, they were able to address them and overcome them. JAXA has this training tool, and together with Space BD, we developed this program called the Discovery Method. Yes, that's very interesting. The challenging environment the astronauts are put in, they have no scenarios, they don't know what is right or wrong. It's almost like this conversation that we're having today, but it's a scriptless world that they're living. They have to survive and thrive, so they offer a great role model for the young people. Yes, that's exactly right. The cognitive capabilities that can be measured, for example, logical thinking and mathematical test scores and so forth. Those were quantitative, but going forward, we don't know what is right or wrong. We have to think hard, using your own brains, and that has to be expressed in writing, in words, and bring many people together and work as a team in order to guide the society to a better direction. That's the kind of people that we want to build and train. That's the capability that we want to grow, but it's very difficult to quantify that, and that's how we develop discovery. I see. So it's almost like, getting a high score at a test or passing a test is no longer the question. It's a question of how you can live in this world, how you can thrive. And that's the extent they're trying to capture. Yes, that is exactly right. That is what we want to do. We will be celebrating our 90th anniversary of the establishing ZKai. And the details of the expression has changed over time, but the purpose that we've emphasized very much is that we wanted to torture the intelligence and the sensitivities that the people will need to live and thrive their lives. This is what we've emphasized as part of our corporate mission. And this intelligence and sensitivity to be nurtured through our educational services is very important. Intelligence is something that the educational industry has been working on, but when it comes to sensitivity, well, maybe not much so, because it's different from having techniques to be able to pass examinations to enter into college, for example. Maybe that sensitivity is something that we've always wanted to address, that we always wanted to work on over the history of the company.
So from the creative chaos as to how you would be able to ultimately create something through the traces and so on. That's the sort of the capability we would like to nurture out of the people. Together with the Wacom, I think we can work together. There are so many things that we overlap, so you just can't touch upon many things like the sensitivity, knowledge. So it's not about the technique necessary to pass the test, entrance test. It is not about improving your the scores in the grade card. It's about how to express yourself, how to express what you're feeling, the communication path. You are entering into that field even. That is correct. And not only the so-called studying, what's more important is to nurture the creativity. Well, you have to nurture the creativity. I think Wacom, your side is working on that field as well, right? Yes, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary, not 90th yet. We are only half of what you went through, but we are putting our lives at stake to do this. Well, we call ourselves the two other stores. Well, it is humans that create. It is humans that learn. And when they do that, we would like to stay by their side. And we would like to provide people with tools, efficiency, rationality, productivity. Of course, it is necessary. The tools are for them to exert all these, but ultimately, what matters is for them to be able to discover things and for them to be able to express all this. We would like to support them in doing it. That's why we are providing people with the tools. And I really do think that all the things that are happening will lead us to the next step that we are taking. Shall we talk about that? Yes, we shall. Let's go back to the slide. So here we have this key visual. You can see the picture being drawn, the key visual. After the session starting from 1800 or so, together with partners, we are going to have another session, which is titled the traces of the creation, a visualization of the traces. Actually, in the traces, or should I say, in the process of the creation, there is a value to it as well. So we believe that we have this hypothesis that the procedure of the creation itself also has a value to it. So we would like to work on the visualization of the traces. It sounds chaotic, but we are going to present at the project we are doing. Fujii-san, by the way, we are now entering into such a broad area. We have this premonition. Yes, what sounds great is that when we say digital, it seems very cool. It's all about zero and ones. Many people in the field of education feel that way, but that is not really the case. We can leverage the digital, and it can provide us with lots of heat. By utilizing technology, we will be able to stay by the side of sensitivity. It really helps nurture the sensitivity, and at the same time, traces of every single one of us can be recorded. Of course, the result is important, but at the same time, procedures that is required to reach the result. It can be a track down, trace down. We can really utilize the technology technology to nurture all these things. This is unprecedented. We can create the value that was unprecedented. We can co-create with Wacom. I feel something that can happen, really. Fujii-san, yes, that's right. You talked about the discovery at the astronaut training program. And you also touched upon the keyword of reflection. Well, under the Kiseki Art Project, reflection is one keyword that we embrace as well. Because it's digital, not analog, but digital, we would be able to twist around and play around with time and space. For example, this particular picture that had been drawn in that particular time, well, we can get back to that time and space where the art has been created. We would be able to get back to to the time when you were created. So, where people would get inspired as to when exactly was the time, the tone of my creation changed, and so you would be able to trace back to the time. You would be able to have this backward journey of the awareness, which is the reflection of the learning that you talked about when you talked about the discovery is quite similar to what I talked about, right? Yes, the learning is not about the result. Well, the procedure also matters. You may go through the trial and errors while you learn. You would have to devise yourselves and you would have to overcome the issue so that you would be able to reach the correct answer. And this is where the value lies. So we used to provide the paper-based, correspondent-based education. And as I mentioned in the last year, it was an innovation. You don't have to go to a classroom to receive training. Of course, classroom education is quite valuable, but if you live in the countryside, not much opportunity is available, and the awesome people who wouldn't be able to join a particular time. But the paper-based correspondent education, it can overcome the restriction that applies in geography-wise. But by receiving the help from the Wacom, we would be able to overcome the time and space, and at the same time, you will be able to receive the feedback. You will be able to intake the big data of everyone, so that we can provide the individually optimized education that was unprecedented, not available before. So the 20th century learning and 21st century, we were finally, for real, have been able to transform everything and open up the road. I am very much excited with this possibility, trial and error, and the traces of the creation. Well, this is the project which we are tackling. And by the way, after we had a talk at this event last year, we decided to join forces, and we decided to co-develop a dedicated education tablet for the Zetkai, where people would be able to read and respond to questions digitally and go through the whole process of learning. On top of this educational tablet, we also came up with an application where you will be able to capture the data digitally. You talked about the trial and error. We are trying to tackle and approach that experience digitally, where students get to review if what had happened. We are now getting ready. Yes. Well, I believe that the field that the Wacom is trying to do and the Zetkai is doing are now approaching closer and closer to each other. We had taken the PCR test, and antigen tests have been taken, so we don't have to worry about getting too close. I can feel your heat, really. I can feel it in our skin, really. So anyhow, in the last year, we mentioned that we are going to develop the new service together with Wacom. But now that the year had passed, we were able to launch the new device. And furthermore, in this year, we are going to get started with the joint experiment. We would be able to say this together. We can disclose this to publicly. Wow, amazing! You just said it. That is correct. Indeed, it's not about right or wrong. What do you learn? How do you learn? What did she write? How did she write it? That's where we are trying to approach digitally. Yes. based on the technology of Wacom, we are trying to capture the track record of all the traces because we believe the procedure matters. It's not about right or wrong. Everything, including the procedure, is really the line. We are going to accumulate all these data so that we would be able to get the new awareness. Well, the space and art, the theme that the Wacom had been embracing, I think it really is what we are trying to do is quite close to what you're doing. Thank you, thank you. Well, we are trying to stay by the side of the people. We really we wouldn't want to over intrude into people. It's not that we're trying to provide the guidance as to what this is what people should do. That's not what we would like to do. We would like to stay by the side of the people quietly. We would like to stay by the side of the students that are trying to learn. So it may be a quietly burning fire, or it may be something else. But anyhow, we would like to make sure that we monitor the procedure, including the trial and errors. We are always by your side. We are not trying to lead students over to the correct answer. It's not that we are trying to provide you with the shortcut. It's just that we are staying by your side. That's the sort of experience that we would like to create and provide to the students.
This is so great. What you've done at Wacom over the 40 years in art is what we need in education. There's no right or wrong answer in art, and the same applies for education. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. Each and every student will have to face the inner space that they have within them, and there are a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, it would generate this art, create this art, and what we need is the artistic creativity, and we want to stand by with that artistic creativity and the technology that makes that possible. When students are to learn, what we need is a technology that would stand by them, that would be by their side. I see. So the way people learn, I think, is going to change completely with this. Yes, I agree. And I don't know how to express this. It's not just entering something using keyboard. It could be faster and it's efficient, but the entire process is learning. And what you need is handwriting and data. In digital, handwriting and digital can explore new horizons. I see. Thank you very much for that. So creation and learning, a pen has an opportunity to do both, and it leaves traces that will be visualized, that will be quantified in order to support the students. That's what you're talking about, right? Yes, that is exactly right. And when we talk about utilizing big data, it means often means optimizing and customizing for the individual, but looking at the artists, we know that there are individual traces, and then the big data, it actually brings that all together, and that actually is very contains a lot of heat and energy. It's actually full of energy, and I have a sense that it could be used for different things and many different things. Thank you very much for saying that. When we say creative chaos, it's about individuals being on their own, but bringing them together and generating new experiences. That's what we mean by creative chaos. So I think we were able to have a very heated discussion, and I think we've shared a lot. The trace, the path, the journey for education and learning. Maybe we can issue a joint declaration. Well, we've just discussed using this tool. Why don't we express our feelings? Yes, we have a script here, which is the joint declaration for the journey for learning. Why don't we prepare for this joint declaration? If you could stand up and... prepare ourselves to sign it off.
じゃあこちらをですね。はい。
Thank you.
じゃあここに今出てますね。
So you see it up on the screen.
学びの奇跡共同宣言。
The
学びの奇跡を可視化して
the learning 奇
学びに寄り添うということで
of joint declaration. So ZKai and Wacom, we're going to sign
はい。ここ
this joint
してい
declaration.
ただくと、はい。
If you could click here.
いやーで OK をして
I'm
いただ
so
く
nervous.
ありがとうございます。
And click on
僕も
OK.
ですねこのワコムの
Let me do the
欄に
same.
この僕はすごい簡単なサインなんで
My
すけども
sign is very
こちらを
simple.
OK をさせていただきますということで
And let me click on
こ
OK.
こに今僕らは
We're done.
学びの奇跡宣言をする
We
ということで
highly declare this joint declaration for joint
共
learning.
同研究でご一緒に学びの奇跡宣言をします。
We've made this joint declaration last year and again this year. I wonder what kind of joint declaration we'll be able to sign next year. I'm so excited to see it.
また我々の旅路も
Our journey. I hope we will be able to share with everyone our journey again next year.
ありがとうございます。
So
ありがとうございます。皆さんありがとうございます。
once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this session. Thank you, Fuji-san. Really, really want to thank you very much.
ちょっと暑いですわ。
Fuji-san,
いやいやいやいや。
I'm
ということでまた第2部が
I
始まりそうな
feel
勢いですけど
full
も
of energy from you.
我々
I
ここでかけさせていただきますということで
feel a sense that we're going to start something new. But with this, we would like to conclude this session. Thank you very much.
どうぞありがとうございます。
Thank you.